If I had known what my wedding night would reveal, I would have fought harder, run faster, chosen death over what was waiting for me. My name is Kai, an Omega everyone considered expendable. If stories like mine speak to you, stay with me, and become part of our family here. But nothing could have prepared me for the night I was forced to marry Alpha Dorian Ashford, the masked ruler whose territory was surrounded by unmarked graves, the man whose previous 12 husbands all died within 3 weeks of their weddings. He didn't want me, he didn't choose me. He couldn't even breathe normally when I stood near him, but his pack needed me, because I was the 13th, and the first 12, they didn't just die, they were murdered. That's how I ended up in a ceremony hall at midnight, marrying a man whose face was hidden, whose touch was forbidden, whose secret was so terrible that even speaking about it was punishable by death. The first words he ever said to me, whispered through that black metal mask, were, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, but you won't survive this either." I wish that was the worst part, because 2 weeks later, I discovered something that changed everything. The curse wasn't killing him, he was feeding it, on purpose. Part 1, I didn't dream of romance. Omegas like me dream of survival. 3 months before my wedding, rogues attacked during the new moon. They came with fire and rage that had been building for years. My father died first, trying to hold the entrance. My mother died next, shielding my siblings with her own body. My 14-year-old brother grabbed our sister's hand as the ceiling collapsed. They died together, still holding on to each other. I lived because I hid in the root cellar like a coward and listened to them burn for 2 days. I stayed there, too afraid to move, too broken to care if I ever moved again when I finally crawled out through the ashes. The Ashford soldiers were already there. Their beta, a man with eyes like frozen steel, didn't waste time on sympathy. 11 survivors from your pack are in our dungeons, he said flatly. Accused of theft, they'll hang at dawn. My heart lurched. Survivors, people I knew, people I could save. Unless, he continued, you agree to marry Alpha Dorian. I asked why. Why me? Why would an Alpha I'd never met need an Omega desperate enough to agree to anything? The beta's expression didn't change. Because you were born under the eclipse. And you're the 13th we've found. What happened to the first 12? His jaw clenched. They died. All of them. Within weeks. I should have run. Should have let those 11 people face their fate. Should have chosen literally anything else. But I'd already failed everyone I loved once. I couldn't do it again, so I said yes, and signed away my life to save 11 others. What I didn't know was that I wasn't saving anyone. I was just choosing which way I wanted to die. Asterisk Part 2. The wedding happened at midnight in a hall that felt like a tomb. No guests. No celebration. Just guards positioned at every exit like they were expecting someone to die, not get married. I stood there in white robes that smelled like someone else's fear, waiting for a man whose face no one had seen in 5 years. When Dorian entered, every candle in the room flickered. He was massive, tall enough that I had to crane my neck, dressed in full combat armor like he expected an attack at his own wedding. But it was the mask that made my blood freeze. Black metal, covering everything from his nose to his collarbone. Not ceremonial, medical, like it was the only thing keeping him functional. The ceremony was performed by an elder who wouldn't look at either of us. Traditional vows about bonds that couldn't be broken, unity stronger than death. Every word felt like a lie being told to ghosts. When the elder said we could acknowledge our bond, I waited, hoping for something, a gesture, a word, anything. Dorian stared at me for exactly 15 seconds through the slits in his mask. His eyes were grey, dead grey, empty grey. The grey of someone who stopped caring years ago. That he whispered, so quietly only I could hear. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, but you won't survive this either. And he walked away. I stood there, officially married to a man who'd just apologized for my future death, and realized I'd made a terrible mistake. The beta appeared beside me. Your quarters are ready, he said. Not our room. Not his chambers, quarters, like I was temporary, replaceable. Will I be staying with him? The Alpha doesn't share his space with anyone. You'll have your own wing. Then why did he marry me? The beta looked at me with something that might have been pity, or guilt. You'll find out soon enough. They all do. That night, I learned what he meant. Part 3. The Ashford estate was a fortress pretending to be a home. Stone walls thick enough to muffle screaming, barred windows, guards who wouldn't meet my eyes, and silence so heavy it felt like the building itself was holding its breath. My room was beautiful and cold. A gilded cage with silk curtains and a bed too large for one person. A servant girl brought dinner. She was maybe 15, hands shaking so badly the dishes rattled. I tried to smile. What's your name? She flinched like I'd struck her. We don't speak to the Alpha spouse. It's forbidden. What else is forbidden? She glanced at the door in pure terror. Don't enter his chambers. Don't ask about the mask. Don't try to touch him. She leaned closer, whispering, and never ever let him see you bleed. Before I could ask why, she was gone. That night, at exactly midnight, the screaming started. Not screaming from fear, screaming from agony so pure it didn't sound human. It came from the east wing where Dorian's chambers were located. I pressed against my door, shaking. The screaming went on for 20 minutes straight. Then it stopped, and something worse began. Sobbing, broken, destroyed, endless sobbing. The most feared Alpha alive was crying alone in the dark. But here's what made my blood run cold. The servants didn't react. The guards didn't move. Nobody went to help him, because this happened every single night, and everyone had learned to ignore it. Part 4 For 3 days, I didn't see Dorian, but I felt him watching, following, staying just far enough away that I couldn't confront him. Every servant avoided me. Every meal came with silent reminders of the rules. Every night, the screaming started at midnight like clockwork. On the 4th night, I broke. I walked to the east wing. Every guard I passed looked at me like I was walking to my execution. His door was reinforced oak with iron bands. I knocked. Nothing. I knocked harder. I know you're in there. You married me. You brought me here. You owe me an explanation. Silence. Open this door or I'll break it down. The locks clicked. The door opened. Dorian stood there, still masked, still armored, breathing hard like he'd been running, or screaming. You shouldn't be here, he said, voice rough. Will I disappear like the others? Die in 3 weeks like they did? His entire body went rigid. Who told you? Does it matter? Just tell me the truth. What happened to them? For a long moment, he stared at me with those dead gray eyes. Then he stepped aside. Come in, but you need to understand something first. His voice cracked. I didn't kill them. The curse did, but I let it happen, and I'll let it happen to you, too. I walked into his room. And understood why everyone was terrified of him. Part 5 His room was a nightmare made real. Chains hanging from the ceiling, claw marks gouged through stone walls, the bed completely shredded, and blood everywhere, old and fresh. What is this? I whispered. Dorian closed the door. 3 locks clicked. This is what happens every night. This is what I am. He reached up and removed his mask. I should have looked away, but I couldn't. His face was covered in black scars that pulsed like they had their own heartbeat. They started at his jaw and spread across his entire face, down his neck, disappearing under his armor, and they were bleeding, constantly. Thin trails of dark blood seeping from cracks in his skin. 5 years ago, he said quietly, I destroyed a pack in a territory war, completely wiped them out. Their matriarch was a witch. She cursed me with her dying breath. He paused, breathing hard. I feel every death I've ever caused, every scream, every moment of pain, over and over, every single night forever. My throat closed. The screaming is me reliving hundreds of deaths, all at once, every night. His hands were shaking. The curse feeds on pain, mine and anyone who bonds with me. The other Omegas died. His voice went hollow. The curse consumed them, drained their life force, left nothing. Then why keep trying? Why marry me? He looked at me with those glowing, broken eyes. Because the witch said only one thing could break it, a bond with an Omega born under the eclipse. My heart stopped. And the first 12, dead within 3 weeks, all of them. He turned away. And here's the part no one tells you. The part I discovered after the 3rd one died. He walked to a desk and pulled out a journal, threw it at my feet, read it. Read what I figured out. I picked it up with shaking hands. It was a research journal, medical notes, observations about the curse, and then I saw it. The entry that changed everything. Day 47. The curse doesn't just feed randomly. It feeds more when I try to resist it. When I try to fight the bond. When I try to keep distance. Day 52. Tested theory. Stayed close to subject 7 for an entire day. Curse activity decreased by 40%. Day 58. Conclusion. The curse is designed to force intimacy. The more I resist bonding, the faster it kills them. The witch knew. She knew I would try to protect them by staying away. And that's exactly what kills them faster. I looked up at him, horror crawling up my spine. You knew. You knew that staying away from them made it worse. Yet his voice was dead. Then why didn't you? Because I'm a coward. He laughed bitterly. Every time I try to get close, every time I think about bonding properly, I see their faces, all 12 of them, dying because I wasn't strong enough to save them. He sank to his knees. So I keep my distance. I stay cold. I follow the pattern that I know kills them. because at least then I can pretend it's the curse's fault and not mine. My world tilted. You're choosing to let them die. Yes. He looked up at me, tears streaming down his scarred face. Because the alternative is actually trying to save them, and failing anyway. I can't do that anymore. I can't watch someone die while I'm holding them, believing I could save them. You're killing them to avoid the pain of losing them. Yes, he didn't even try to defend himself. And I'll do the same to you. 3 weeks, that's all you have. And I'll spend every day staying far enough away that I can pretend I'm not the one murdering you. Part 6. I should have left. Should have run. Should have chosen literally anything else. But I didn't, because standing there, looking at this man who was so broken he'd rather kill 12 innocent people than risk feeling their deaths, I realized something. He wasn't evil. He was terrified. What if I don't let you stay away? I said quietly. His head snapped up. What if I force you to try? Force you to actually bond with me? You'll die faster. The curse will do what it's already doing. But at least we'll be fighting it together instead of guaranteeing my death through your cowardice. He flinched like I'd slapped him. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. I stepped closer. He backed away immediately. You're so afraid of failing that you've stopped trying. You've convinced yourself that letting them die from distance is somehow better than trying and failing. It is better. For who? For you. So you can sleep at night pretending you did everything you could. I can't watch another person die believing I could save them. His voice broke completely. I can't do it again. I can't. I grabbed his face with both hands. The moment I touched him, pain exploded through my body. Black veins erupted across my skin. My vision blurred. Every nerve caught fire. Dorian tried to pull away, begging me to let go. But I held on. Then don't watch me die from across the room. I gasped through the agony. Watch me fight. Watch me try. And maybe, just maybe, try with me. Part 7. Bonding with a suicidal alpha wasn't romantic. It was warfare against his own self-destruction. Every night, I forced him to stay close, to hold my hand, to talk to me instead of hiding in his armor and mask. The curse attacked viciously. Black veins spread across my arms, my chest, wrapping around my throat. I coughed up blood. I collapsed from pain that made me forget my own name, but worse than the physical pain was watching Dorian fight himself. Every time he started to open up, he would pull back. Every time he started to hope, he would remember the 12 who died. Every time he almost smiled, he would catch himself and retreat into that cold, distant shell. Why are you doing this? He asked one night, voice breaking. Why are you fighting for someone who's already given up? Because you're worth fighting for, I said simply, even if you don't believe it. 2 weeks in, I was dying, faster than the others. The healers whispered that I had days, not weeks. The beta begged me to give up. He's not going to change. He's going to let you die just like he let them die. But I couldn't stop, because every night, in the moments between his screaming and his sobbing, I saw glimpses of who he used to be, who he could still be. Someone gentle, someone kind, someone who cared so much it destroyed him. On day 17, I collapsed completely, blood pouring from my nose and mouth, vision going black, heart barely beating. Dorian caught me, and for the first time in 5 years, he held someone while they were dying. I'm sorry, he sobbed. I'm so sorry. I tried to stay away. I tried to protect you by keeping distance. You tried to kill me to avoid the pain of losing me, I whispered, but I'm dying anyway. So hold me. Be here. Stop running. And something in him finally broke. Not his walls. His fear. He pulled me closer, pressing his forehead to mine. I don't know how to save you. I don't know what to do. I've failed 12 times. I'll fail again, then fail while trying, I gasped. Fail while holding me. Fail while fighting with everything you have. Just stop choosing my death to avoid your pain. And that's when it happened. The bond didn't snap into place gently. It detonated. The curse didn't break. It didn't transfer. It split. The black veins on his face started bleeding again. The ones on my skin burned brighter. The curse divided itself between us, forcing us to share the burden. Every death he'd caused, we both felt now. Every scream, every nightmare, split between 2 people instead of 1. It wasn't freedom. It wasn't salvation. It was shared damnation. But we were both still breathing. The curse didn't disappear. It can't. It just found 2 hosts instead of 1. Every night we both scream. We both relive the deaths. We both carry the weight of hundreds of lives ended violently. Some nights I wake up choking on blood that isn't mine. Dorian holds me through it, even though he's bleeding too. Some nights he wakes up sobbing from nightmares of the 12 Omegas he let die. I hold him through it, even though I see their faces now too. We're both broken, both cursed, both dying slowly from the inside out, but we're dying together, and somehow, that makes it bearable. Dorian learned to stop running from his fear, not because he stopped being afraid, but because he realized running just meant dying alone. I learned that saving someone doesn't mean fixing them. Sometimes it just means refusing to let them suffer alone. We share everything now. The pain, the nightmares, the curse, the scars that will never fully heal. The Alpha everyone feared became the man who finally learned to stop running. The Omega with nothing to lose became the person who refused to give up on him. We didn't get a fairy tale. We got something more real. A love built on shared suffering, a bond forged in mutual damnation, a choice to face hell together rather than alone. Our story isn't about breaking curses or finding salvation. That's about two broken people choosing each other, even when choosing meant sharing the pain forever. And every morning, when we wake up bleeding and broken and cursed, we look at each other and make the same choice. Again, together, even in damnation. Especially in damnation, because some loves aren't about happiness. They're about refusing to let go even when letting go would be easier. And ours is written in blood and scars and shared nightmares that never end. But it's ours, and that's enough.